All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Hey Saul, good morning.
Hello. All right. So according to the Slack, I think we're going to have a pretty light call today, which is okay because number one, this section is pretty dependent on some of the other sections. And by our following meeting on October 15th, we've got some deliverables that we'll need to bring in and discuss. So I just wanted to start out today on the agenda. Is there anything open or new that we do want to discuss? And I will still leave us open for discussion for the next 5 minutes or so. Nothing critical?
No, just real quick. We do have some folks involved with GitHub and GitLab within the OpenSSF. I'm wondering if maybe we should just like Xavier for GitHub. I doubt they're exactly the right people, but maybe we should give them a heads up. Hey,
Yeah. Um,
I'm not sure who in GitLab, but I could ask Brian to find out who that is.
yeah, if you'd be able to follow up on this, because my contacts with GitHub are in the DE&I section, but they're not going to be really useful for this.
Right.
But if I can hand you a current goal for the next 2.5 weeks-ish, that would be excellent.
Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering, if I were to share with them a URL, what URL should I share?
So if you're going to share a URL with them, I would honestly say this, like this is the level of partnership understanding that we have so far. And I'd love for them to discuss with us what this
Okay,
would look like for them for the resources that they currently have.
gotcha. Okay. Would you mind throwing that in the chat, or I want to make sure I use the right one. I'm kind of overwhelmed with tabs, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me? So I'm going to put in an action item directly onto this GitHub document, directly under this 3.1, but do you want it somewhere else where it's more available to you?
I mean, posting on GitHub is, having your URL pointing to GitHub is great. I just want to make sure I use the right one.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm using this as the standard of truth for this
gotcha.
document. We're not doing a Word document on the side. We could and link it
No,
back
no,
to
no,
the
no, no, that's fine. No, can you throw it in chat though? Because I don't have that open.
Oh, the actual link. Yes, got it.
Yeah, what you're showing, throw that in link in chat. I will copy paste and make an email.
There we go. Cool, got it.
I'm not. At least I was trying not to ask for anything complicated. Although, awesome.
Sorry,
Thank
y'all. It's like 5 p.m. on a Friday for me here, so I'm like a little lost, but I'm good. I'm here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
are you
I
saying it's
haven't
not
been feeling
morning?
good. I haven't been feeling good today, so I got you. All right. So I'll ask Xavier. I doubt he's the right person, but he at least has a shot of knowing the right people.
Let me tell you what I do know about that. So Xavier told me that he does control the bug bounties at GitHub. Like that's part of his responsibility. They also have a lot of ideas. I don't know if Glenn shared them yet, but this was technically in a chat with me and Glenn and Xavier. But they also have, because he typed out like 3 or 4 different ideas of how we could work together. If you'd like, I could send them. I could copy and paste them or something.
Yes, yeah. If we already have written comms on this, can you absolutely add it in under this action item? So that we know exactly what we're sort of hitting in this space. Or you can just add it into the chat and I will copy it in here real quick. That's easiest.
Perfect. Yeah, let me do that.
Cool. Oh, and one quick note, we do have one new person on the call today. So Aaron is on my DevRel team at Sonatype and works as one of our technical writers and is really interested in helping us build out some of these incentivizing programs and better communication around them. So welcome, Aaron. Anything to say for yourself, and who is everyone else on the call?
Yes, thanks, Sal. Hi, David and Randall. Yep, I work with Sal on the DevRel team and have assisted in a few other pieces of content creation. And I was interested when Sal brought up working on rewarding and incentivizing developers for what you guys are currently working on. So yeah, thanks for just listening in today. So that's happy to be here.
Very cool. And who besides that dog is also on this call today?
It looks like it's my dog today. He saw the UPS guy, so I'm going to mute. Sorry about
All
that.
good. Well, anyway, David is on mute now, but is in charge of a lot of the educational initiatives out of Linux Foundation and developed the original cybersecurity education through Linux Foundation. So we're really having a chance here to move that work forward. And then Randall, you're the only one on the call today, right? Yes, Randall's here.
Yes, I am here. I'm getting this copied.
Okay, cool. Focus on that. That's all good.
I just made this move to Wayland, which is like a big Linux thing. So that's basically all of Xavier's ideas. There's 3 messages.
Cool.
Some of this was based on the execution call that we had with him, because originally the call was, well, could we use CodeQL to like an SKF as a tool? And so the reason we Glenn kind of lost interest was because CodeQL really only found like a third of what it should have found. But
yeah,
long story short, Xavier does have a lot of really good ideas, because he talked about him on the call, and he has ideas on how they can motivate and incentivize people. And they've had talks about this before, so maybe it might be. I just wanted to like throw that out there because I do know that about Xavier.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm interested if this falls directly. I mean, this is collaboration with GitHub, but this is slightly, well,
I'm just giving you the full 360 because I know at one point
yeah,
there was talks about using CodeQL, and as I said, after me and Glenn ran a few tests, we found out that with Ricardo as well that it just wasn't gonna make the cut. I don't think they've touched that again. But Xavier's been very like trying to get us like re-engaged. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that involves rewarding and
yeah.
that's more the fixing the
You
stack
know,
overflow issues.
you
Which
know where this fits in. That's exactly what I was going to say. This fits into that 1.1 section.
yeah.
So, okay, for the moment, let me just like literally keep this on the side here. And I'm going to propose that back into that 1.1 section because this actually gives us really good next action statements.
Okay. No one's responded to him. It's just I felt bad because like I don't know if I should or any he's been sending this along. So that's why.
Yes, definitely do respond back. Let's get that engagement because we absolutely, so there can be 2 tandem goals here. So I think we're going to need, David, a separate contact by you to GitHub, GitLab if possible, to confirm what certifications they have or may have coming. If there's anything we can co-coordinate around developing new content, equally important.
Wait. I lost the they. Who's the they?
GitHub and GitLab.
Okay. How's this? Why don't I start by connecting? I'm going to send an email to Xavier, CCU, well, and CC Crowd while I'm at it, and at least this initial, the incentivization stuff. As far as the code QL, I don't know. Is Xavier still the right person? We can talk about
that's what he does. He's
Okay.
in charge of code QL. And what he said, just so you know, in this call was that GitHub would be willing to like put up new bounties that correlate with OpenSSF. We would just need to correlate that together, is what he said.
Cool.
Because he does do the bounties. I guess that's part of his responsibility. He mentioned that 2 or 3 times in the call.
Okay, who should he talk to though? Because I don't think this is the right subgroup here. I'm trying to connect the right people to each other.
Yeah, so that's like for sure going to be, let's just bring us back to this real quick. Never go to the right section in this one. Where's that mobilization? Sorry, I just got to go to files, don't I? Sorry, team. Where is this sitting again? I know there's that plan, the 3 plans. I'm just not finding it right now. typically been having it open here. It's on stream 1. There we go. No, it's not. I found this morning. Sorry, team. There we go. No. Patient issues, charter. Heck is it? Sorry, this is a really stupid thing to spend our time on. So I'm going to bring up the 1.1 at the end of this call and make sure that we put it into the right section. But for now, there's just a couple of things that I want to make sure that we've gotten awareness on, because we're going to have to start moving by about November. So for this 3.1, we're going to reach out to the GitHub team, GitLab team, and see who within that would be quality contacts for specifically certification training. And then we can work with the curation team to prioritize those which are certifications that can be validated. With that action statement, I think we're good, and we have that accounted for in line 13 here. Sorry. But let's do a little bit of thinking, perhaps not on this call, but asynchronously around the proposed cybersecurity matrix focus. So this is at a very high level, what I would recommend, or provided recommendations for the different sort of technical stacks, technical sort of focuses that we should have. So I'd say supply chain, cloud security, data security, as the top 3 priorities for year 1, because those are our sort of biggest efforts and also the ones that we have some of the most content around. Mid-priority training, I would say it would be application, network, and security. So working on that towards the middle part of 2023. And then corporate-oriented training, which is a lower priority for OSSF, but still works in tandem. So identity and access management, advanced detection and response, and cyber incident response. This is what makes sense in my mind as an initial idea of the matrix for areas where we could focus our strong incentives. Does this make sense as a basic parsing to those of us who are here? And I've also highlighted it in the OSSF Slack for anyone to give us feedback on this.
If content is a thing, I would say that the most amount of content we have is probably around application security. Just saying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm wondering, do we want to move? And also there's just going to be like way more support generally from a couple of the contacts that I have around this AppSec. So do we want to move that into a priority for the first section? And is there anything that we would want to remove from this in order to have that focus? I personally always want to keep in supply chain and cloud security because I'm a Kubernetes developer. That's why. But do we want to have 4 elements in the focus for the first year or only 3?
So right now, Krob is doing a spreadsheet of all of the content that we have. Would it be wise to wait for that? Because I'm inventorying everything I have in SKF and OSWAP in there.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to move this as just an idea for now, but I do think, so an action item that we should have is coordinate with section 1 to confirm certification pathways, existing certification.
Right.
Within these stacks, and I will take that up and make sure that we're doing that in section 1.
I can say as far as OSWAP, so as far as half of the information, there is no real certification.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. And well, let's just absolutely make sure that that's a column in that as well, so that it's easy to search through, that we can identify what are trainings and what are certs. But I think that's the only, a lot of this is so contingent on part 1 and 2. As those mobilize, these get mobilized. That's my only discussion point for this part. And we've only really got 3 sections to cover. Is there anything that we want to add or consider to this 3.1?
Looks good to me.
Excellent. Okay. incentives, really, this cannot be done yet. We're still in the space of identifying the incentives within and outside of LF. I think that this is really going to come again in tandem with developing out what are those cert courses that exists. So this isn't even on the docket for us. We can put a timeline to this, but I said before that we should identify these gaps by around like December of this next year. So I think we're out on that. And again, this could be a short meeting because there's not as many people on board. But for the rest of these, most of these really need to wait for a couple of months until the other sections move. I did want to give a very brief update, however, on, oh, it's in section 2. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about a coordination that we could have with section 2, which means I'll have to bring it up. Give me just a second. Which one is it? Weren't these linked before? Where are these sitting as links now? I just want to look at the,
I think if you go to code up there on the left, can you see like, or is that, or view code right there? There's a view code
I'm missing
Is
it.
it right underneath Krob, his commit. There's view code. Yeah,
Thank you. My God, I've been on GitHub all day today. My brain is just dead.
it's because you have it or you have it too small. It thinks you're mobile. That's why.
Oh, cool. Okay, good to know. I would never do GitHub back on mobile. Okay, but so let's do 2 last quick action items for this meeting. I want to do a quick discussion around how section 2 and 3 will be interoping in a specific location. So alternative delivery systems for content. So I've reached out to Major League Hackathons who have recently created an entire pathway of training that takes you from a, early to mid-career developer to a specific training and hiring inside of SRE, which is a very similar educational pathway as we'll need for cybersecurity. So what I've asked them to deliver us by October 14th, the next meeting, is an overview of exactly what that looked like, how that coordinated with the open source projects, and what the success and failure rates were of that. I would then like to have a consideration with what we can do to be providing them upfront educational resources and certifications that allow us to identify those who might be good sort of pathway candidates for that MLH. Really, the benefit of MLH, the big reason why I need them to be engaged in this is that education is worth nothing unless they become valuable contributors and maintainers. And MLH has really got the pathway and the support system readily defined to be able to make sure that there are, people on keyboards with mentorship in place. So when we come into the next meeting, I'd love to discuss a little bit about what that looked like for their SRE, what it could look like in sort of the final end of the pipeline for this education, some of the key statistics that we would want from that, and then start really thinking about what this educational looks like from, starting at beginning of content to actually getting potentially a cybersecurity identified maintainer. That would be my ideal class to create. So there's no more actions to take on that, but I wanted to give you a little overview discussion of that because I think it's going to be really interesting and it's worth us being on the call. The last thing is are there any statements about this 2.3 sort of interop with section 3?
Nope.
Cool. Okay, so the last thing that I want to briefly go over.
Love the idea, by the way.
Yes, I know. It's a dream of dreams I've had for many years. And now, now I'm going to do the rewards incentives to get it done. I'm very pleased. So in this section, I believe it's down at the end. So I think what we're talking about here really makes sense around working with, well, at least GitHub and Stack Overflow. So give me just a quick second to submit this PR.
So part of the reason that I did say that, or I sent that, and I thought it was relevant, is because some of those ideas were ideas that they had on how they could like what people could do and what like GitHub would be willing to pay for.
Yeah. Which is a crucial consideration, right?
By the
That's
way,
why.
oh, it's okay.
No.
Okay, so I have while we were talking about that, I've emailed Xavier CCU, and I've contacted Brian to see who in GitLab we should contact, because I'm not sure who that is. I really have no Indeed for it, Indeed and for LinkedIn. But let's start with GitHub, GitLab, and we do eventually need to contact Indeed and LinkedIn at least. And if there's other, I mean, there's many I boards, I'm sure. So I
Yeah.
just know where. Those seem like the obvious place to start. So let's start there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's focus on the major players. Let's definitely get GitHub really involved. And then see what the trickle off effect is of that. So just coming back to this quick discussion we were having, sorry, I like threw it in my notes here. So do we want to include in this section now? I mean, this isn't my section, so we're gonna have to just include it as a recommendation. So maybe we just put in recommendations from who are the key players in this?
Randall, Sal, and David.
Yeah. And who is the key contact again?
Xavier.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Perfect.
I mean, he leads the best practices, co-leads the best practices working group, so he's right nearby.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So what's the next? Is there a good next step on these? I think right now, maybe we just leave this in here as a recommendation to be discussed by that team in total. But is there any language here that we want to clarify or work on?
I'm pretty good with the way it is so
Yeah,
far.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's literally just like, here's some common sense things we could do. Okay. Which 1.10 goal for review expansion sign off. Cool. I think that is, it's always so satisfying when README documents are able to merge. So I think right now we've got our next steps here, should be updated now. So apologies on skipping around here. But we're happy with the proposed security plan. I'm going to reach out to, well, I'm going to be providing an overview of MLH's pipeline for OSS engagement. And I think at this moment in time, we're pretty clear, aside from the email that you've already sent, David, and sort of the ongoing discussion we should probably have with Xavier, probably through that section 1, though. That fits perfectly. And that was really a dead space that we didn't have immediate next steps on. So that closes the loop. I think it's a good time to reach back out and say, like, we're not just interested, we really care. And we've already set aside budget to get this done. So let's figure this out. Yeah. Cool. I'm happy with this. I think we're good to go. Are there any last things that we want to cover from section 3, or I think we're set? We can discuss on Slack, get some of these aspects moving, but make sure you do tune in on October 14th, because I think that's going to be a really interesting chat and that's going to set us off.
Cool. I'm all good.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining in. Aaron, thank you for coming. It's usually double this amount of people, but that's okay. It's a light week. Next time, though, I'll make everyone come. This was just a real quick overview. So thank you, everyone. I hope you have excellent Fridays. Oh, not true. I do have one more thing for everyone. Sorry. Okay, we're running. This isn't a personal note, but you should all be excited about this. The Security Slam is live, where we are getting as many projects as we can within CNCF to have 100% security compliance. And they've already started, including Kubernetes. And I have been going in and yelling at everybody about their security stances on their GitHubs and their Slacks and enjoying it very, very much. So we will be seeing some improvement in that space. I'm excited to show the stats, but the stats will improve more if everyone yells about it. So do send that out. It has to be an incubating CNCF project, but we've got a bunch of them engaged. And coming out of this, we've worked on incentivizing. So this is really a test case for how we incentivize healthy OS engagement in cybersecurity. So some of the awards that were really important for me to put in place here were making sure that if you get to 100% security and compliance, there is Linux Foundation training set aside for both a maintainer and for a contributor, that diversity scholarships are provided for the contributor community for any project that reaches 100%, and that we are particularly rewarding first-time contributors to projects, making sure that they get engaged, they get recognized, and really creating that sort of healthy community level support around cybersecurity and open source that hasn't traditionally been there, and doing my favorite thing, which is making sure that in some way the maintainers get paid. So do let people know about this, because this is my way. This is my like best way so far, personally, if I can't say myself. This is the best thing I've done so far to complete my operation. Say thank you to maintainers. So get the word out.
Good work.
Thank you. I'm super excited. But that is all for today. So look at it, check it out, see if you want to get engaged. But I'm happy to close this out and give you all a little bit more of your Fridays back.
Appreciate it. Thanks all. You have a good weekend. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right.